We learned two things from Hunter Biden's explosive, profanity-laced viral interview. He is really angry with the Democrat Party elite for the coup that they successfully executed against his father. Language.
Opinions, but him, and everybody around him. I don't have to be Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. George Clooney is not a actor. He is a great friends with Barack Obama. What do you have to do with anything? Why do I listen to you?
He must be really fun at Thanksgiving. In second, Hunter is saying, finally, what Joe Biden's thinking has to be. It's the quiet part out loud. The Democrats are furious with Hunter Biden, but not because he lied. It's because he broke one of the cardinal rules of the left. He told the truth. I'm Daniel Cohen. You're watching The Daniel Cohen Show on the Real Life Network. President Biden's felonious, crack cocaine addicted son blasting the top echelon of the Democrat Party. I'm sure you've already seen the ranting and raving. But Hunter Biden said that the party's bribed, complicit, and corrupt. The prince of the party, the son of the president, former president. Hunter's meltdown, where he drags what's left of the historically unpopular, and we'll talk about the numbers in just a second, Democrat Party, drags him right down into the gutter with him. But even Hunter, his rant is still the most coherent interview by someone named Biden in the last 5 years. First up, George Clooney.
Barack Obama, you. What do you have to do with anything? Why do I have to listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his life to the service of this country?
George Clooney wrote a scathing op-ed that helped dig the political grave for Joe Biden last summer after the disastrous debate performance I know you saw when with President Trump, when Joe Biden died on stage. There's no other way to describe. Hunter went after political advisors. The raging Cajun, James Carville from Louisiana, famous for backseat driving every Democrat Party decision, every race. And also, Hunter destroyed former Obama advisor David Axelrod.
Me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama. And that was because of Barack Obama, not because of David Axelrod.
After that, Hunter Biden articulated a beautiful, he took a poetic stance on the advantages of the Democrats' open border policy. Just kidding. There was nothing poetic. Just a lot of F-bombs. Again, sorry for the language. It was just the opposite. Watch.
For someone, am I going to be like all these Democrats say, you have to talk about and realize that people are really upset about illegal immigration. How do you think your hotel room gets cleaned? How do you think you got food on your table?
That is so offensive. That is so offensive that he articulates the only thing that he sees, and I believe the Democrat Party as a whole, the echelon, the elites, they just see the lowest rung, the poor, the working class, the people they say they're for as people who are only good to clean your toilet and pick your crops. How offensive was that? The Democrats love to present themselves that way. Party of compassion. There was no compassion in what Hunter Biden just said. Cheap labor, voting power in swing states. That's it. Help us win. Help us retain power. That's all they care about. Oh, and then there was more. Hunter Biden sharing about foreign policy, demanding that the face-tattooed MS-13 Trinidad, the gang members that President Trump has been deporting to El Salvador. He said if he were president, that's kind of funny. Hunter Biden president, think about that for a second. But he said if he were president, he would demand, he would insist, he would get on the phone and say, you bring those face-tattooed monsters back so that they can continue to wreak havoc on the streets of America.
Because I'll tell you what, if I became president in 2 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 3 years from now, I would pick up the phone and call the president of El Salvador and say, you either send them back or I'm going to invade. It's a crime what they're doing. He's a dictator thug.
Bukele or Trump?
Both.
Oh, maybe your ears are starting to ring by now. I'm so sorry. Hunter even went after the Democrats' messiah.
What is the one thing that drives Obama more crazy about my dad than anything? It's when he sits around and he continues to talk to people in a crowd, because then he can't also leave the stage at the same time.
That's exactly right.
He never likes hanging around.
He doesn't. He doesn't like taking it. He doesn't like rope lines. He doesn't like to take the pictures.
He doesn't like to take the pictures.
That's just not. Yeah, most people think that President Obama likes that, but he doesn't.
He hates it.
He hates it,
and he's hated it ever since. And that's why, literally, if you ever watch old tape of my dad and Obama at an event together, Obama would walk off one side of the stage and he'd let my dad walk off the other, because my dad would then spend an hour with the crowd afterward.
Obama's not going to like that. Not going to like that at all. Hunter also attacked the left-wing Pod Save America, these podcasters.
And all of these guys, and the Pod Save America guys, who were junior speechwriters on Barack Obama's Senate staff, who've been dining out on the relationship with him for years, making millions of dollars.
Okay, so Tommy Vitor, who is one of the Pod Save America guys, he responded. And he said this. He said, it's good to see that Hunter's taken some time to process the election, look inward, hold himself accountable for how his family's insular and, dare I say, arrogant at times approach to politics led to this catastrophic outcome that we're all now living with. Again, that's Tommy Vitor from Pod Save America. What outcome is that? By the way, that he's discussed is the catastrophic outcome of lower egg prices, lower gas prices, near record high stock market, an economy that's moving again, and a United States government that supports and stands with Israel. Which part? What was the catastrophic part? Removing MS-13 and Tren de Aragua terrorists from the United States? Was that the catastrophe? What we're seeing right now is an unraveling party that's okay, the Democrats, with chopping healthy body parts off of children, abortion up to the moment of birth, protection for criminals who snuck into the country illegally, but then have to be demanded some kind of due process in order for them to be shown the door, and a whole lot of other bad ideas that are so far outside the mainstream that the voters in 2024 kicked them out. The Democrats used Joe Biden's empty suit and his auto pen to push a radical agenda on the American people. And when the Democrat Party saw that they'd squeezed every last drop of political capital out of Joe Biden, they flushed him away like toilet paper, pushed him right off the cliff. Interesting that Hunter's just gone full blast. Of all the Biden all the Biden pardons via auto pen, there was only one. Do you guys know? There was only one he signed by hand. Hunter Biden. So he must feel like he could just say whatever. He's got a get out of jail free card. Like I said, he wasn't done. We got one more for you. Furious with Nancy Pelosi. He said she's the one who ultimately decided it was time to shove Joe overboard.
They had clearly made a decision. And when I say they, I mean the speaker. And, I heard Alexandra Pelosi say something, call my mom, like, put your big girl pants on to my mom or something. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like saying, who the do you think you are?
The Democrat Party is a house of cards built on lies, corruption, worship of celebrities. And it is just tasty seeing the former prince burning the whole thing down. Do you remember the party that claims to be, do you remember? Of course you remember. This is the party that claims to be the singular caretakers of democracy, norms. You've probably heard people talking about that in the media. This is the party that inserted this woman who failed in her own presidential run, didn't even make it to Iowa, vastly unpopular even in California where she's from. And the Democrats foisted her onto the top of the ticket after she received not a single vote, not a single primary vote. According to CNN, a poll from last week, just 28% of Americans view the Democrat Party favorably. 28%. It's the lowest mark for Democrats in the entire history of CNN polling, and that goes back over 30 years. Just 19% approve of the Democrats in Congress. The party's in shambles. It's abysmal. I'm not mad at it. They will regather. They will somehow, I believe, find neutral and come back to, they will moderate, but they're not there yet. Hunter Biden also had a lot to say about who he thinks should be leading the Democrat Party into the future. Who can coalesce the centrists and the anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, pro-Intifada left that want to Zoran Mamdamnify New York City and other large blue cities? The future of the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. You're watching The Daniel Cohen Show. We'll have that for you next, right here on the Real Life Network.
If you aren't enjoying 24/7 access to biblical worldview teaching, then it's time to get started now with the Real Life app. Victoria writes, I am so thankful that you stand on the true and unwavering Word of God. I love the Real Life app and how easy it is to connect with topics that help me grow in my walk with Jesus. Download the Real Life app now for instant connection to all of Jack Hibbs' content. Available for download in the iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon app stores.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, her office in the Bronx was vandalized by pro-Hamas activists. Anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, pro-terror activists vandalizing AOC, her office in the Bronx. Why? Are you ready for this? You guys sitting down? Apparently, AOC isn't radical enough. They were vandalized. The office was vandalized by a group that calls themselves the Boogie Down Liberation Front. I'm not making any of this up. The BDLF. These are the images. Here's a picture. They actually have a couple for it, but you can see they left a sign. They splashed red paint, and they left the sign that said, AOC funds genocides in Gaza. AOC voted against slashing funding to Israel's Iron Dome. I want to make sure you guys stay with me. I want you all to understand what happened here. AOC's office, red splattered paint, blood, obviously, clearly that's what that's supposed to represent, is vandalized because she recently dared to vote to fund Israel's Iron Dome, which is what? A purely defensive system that intercepts enemy terrorist missiles that literally save lives from incoming rocket fire. This is what happens when Democrats, put the pictures back up. This is what happens when Democrats show the slightest recognition of Israel, show some humanity. They're punished by the pro-Hamas left. Democrats, I hope your party goes off into oblivion or finally figures it out and comes back to some kind of a biblical center. But you've lost the plot. You have lost the plot. This is how you know you've lost the plot. You're angry that Israelis, civilians, can defend themselves from terror rockets when Israel, the place I'm talking to you from, is surrounded on all sides, land masses that is, by countries, a ring of fire of terrorists that want to destroy Israel, but will kill me and my family given the chance, just like that. But we should also be clear. It's not just the Democrats. The woke right, you better wake up. Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia, your amendment to slash military funding to Israel thankfully was not just defeated, it was embarrassingly defeated. This was on Friday. The vote was 422-6. It would have jeopardized U.S. national security and gutted critical joint military R&D, research and development. 422-6. AOC voted to allow Israel to be able to protect itself. But if you think AOC has suddenly had some change of heart toward Israel, think again. She's still anti-Israel. She hates Netanyahu. She hates the democratically elected government here. It's conservative. She hates that. So what's really going on, Daniel? She's probably running for president. We know that. No one's declared yet. It's still too early. But why do we know that? Because she's out on the Stop the Oligarchy tour with Bernie. Stop the Oligarchy tour. Flying around on private jets, eating lobster and sipping champagne. Stopping the oligarchy. Here she is just jumping around. This was, I believe, in Texas. This is a hype rally. I mean, what? Are you running for president? Are you thinking of, is this presidential? What is this? stop the oligarchy tour. What a joke. She's just screaming. This is where the energy is at in the Democrat Party, though. This is where the energy is at. I'm laughing at her, but I'm not laughing like she can't win. She can win. You better believe she can win. She needs the Jewish vote, though, in New York. And if she decides that she wants Palestinian Senator Chuck Schumer's job, it's hers. It's hers. He can't stop her. But she needs the Jewish vote, especially in her district, and she can't afford to alienate herself from them. And about that vote on Israel, here's how she answered the critics. Here it is. She said, and I quote, she said, Google is free. She's saying, look up my vote. If you're saying I voted for military funding, you are lying. Receipts attached. The response here, what she's trying to say is that Israel was still, and then she later clarified, she said that she voted so that Israel could defend themselves, but Israel is still able to carry out what it needs to carry out in Gaza. It's still able to execute a war against Hamas there. But again, the Democrat Socialists of America, vandalize her office and call her out for not being anti-Israel enough. When the Democrat Socialists that you are willing to sell your soul and hop around on stage and scream into a microphone and look like you're at a college football pep rally for, if they say you're too moderate, Democrats, you have lost the plot. The party has gone insane. Here's who I'm keeping my eye on. Right here. This is the dark horse for me. This is President Obama's former chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, mayor of Chicago, served as U.S. ambassador to Japan, famously said, never let a crisis go to waste. Pure political opportunist. The swampiest of the swamp. Swamp creature. And he just sat down with Megyn Kelly and he said things that you and I would consider, I think, I know this audience, pretty normal. But not if you're a Democrat. Here he is saying things that would get almost any Democrat immediately canceled by the left.
Do you believe boys should be able to play in girls' sports?
No.
Do you believe that kids under the age of 18 should be able to be put on puberty blockers and then cross-sex hormones?
I think parents have to make that decision themselves. I think that a child is too young at 18 to make that decision.
That's a non-answer.
It has to be made with a family.
Should we be putting men in female prisons? Men claiming they're women?
No.
And, all right, here's my last one for you. Can a man become a woman?
Wow.
Can a man become a woman?
He had to think about it. Look, he's thinking.
No.
Yeah, he had to think about it, didn't he? Can a man, when my kids are in trouble and I ask them a question and they ask the question back to me to stall for the right answer, you don't need to stall on that one. Can a man become a woman? Of course not. Of course a man cannot become a woman. Although it took Rahm Emanuel courage to admit the biological reality and the biblical reality of God's design, male and female. He created them in his image. His positions aren't principled by any means. It's not because of a biblical worldview. He's an opportunist, and he's just going to say whatever he needs to say to try to get elected. When Megyn Kelly actually asked why more Democrats don't just say that. No, a man cannot become a woman and vice versa. He joked and he said something about that he was going to have to go into a witness protection program. Your modern Democrat Party. Witness protection for a man saying, no, a man cannot become a woman. A man cannot change his physiology. A man cannot change the DNA, the chromosomal framework of his own makeup that God intended, that God created. God says, I knew you before you were in your mother's womb. I knew you. Not a mistake. Maybe you need to hear that today. You're not a mistake. But don't be fooled. Rahm Emanuel was a disaster as mayor of Chicago. 2016, Chicago recorded 771 homicides under Emanuel, the highest in 20 years. It was a huge spike. It was 488 the year before. Huge spike. 300 more people murdered in 1 year, around that number. From 2011 to 2018, there were 19,026 shooting incidents in Chicago. 2,600 shootings per year under Emanuel's leadership. 2016 alone, there were 3,500 shooting incidents, highest during his entire tenure. Chicago is a war zone. I grew up just an hour south of the city of Chicago. The south side of Chicago, there's some tough neighborhoods there. Total war zone. Okay, so we have the left talking AOC, Gavin Newsom, who's never met a microphone or a camera that he won't stop and speak to. And now they're preparing to dust off the old jalopy that no one seems to want. Yeah, have you heard this yet? The Democrats apparently are getting ready to trot out Beto O'Rourke for yet another political run, another campaign. And in a sit-down with Major Garrett, Beto says that America is headed toward a civil war.
At this moment of truth, our kids, our grandkids are going to be wondering, why didn't you step up and save this country when you had the chance? So not everything is going to appeal to everyone, but we must do everything we can with what we have right now, or we're going to lose the republic.
What's he talking about there? You did step up. You've been rejected over and over again. Over and over again. Beto ran unsuccessfully for president. He had a failed run for Texas senator, failed run for Texas governor. What's with this guy? He's always running for something and losing. He even ran for the White House after saying that doing so would destroy his family, and he said, "I'll do it anyway." And of course, then he lost. The Democrats have this odd playbook where they fail upward. It's 3 strikes and you're promoted. Beto lost 3 high-profile races in 4 years. So where do we stand today? According to the latest polling from Atlas Intel, which is one of the better pollsters. I'm not going to quote a poll unless, if it's junk, I'm not going to put out junk. I won't do it. But according to Atlas Intel, which was on point, was top 2, top 3 in November 2024, they have Mayor Pete Buttigieg. He is your Democrat frontrunner, the man who took maternity leave with his husband. He's at 26%. AOC coming in second at 18%. Gavin Newsom at 15%. And then Kamala Harris at 14%. Wow, Kamala Harris. And on the Republican side, it should be pretty obvious at this moment. The vice president, J.D. Vance, he's leading the polls for 2028. What a major vote of confidence for him and for President Trump. When the vice president is dominating the next election polls, it means that the people trust the administration. Recent polling, this was from Emerson. It has Vance at 46% for 2028 in the GOP primary. Listen, we're a long ways off. When J.D. Vance is even asked about these things, he says, not right now. He doesn't want to be a distraction. You're right in the middle of President Trump's, the first 2 years of his second term. He's not going to start talking about a presidential run, but you better believe it. Other people are and should be. Because Vance understands what Trump understands. America First is not just a slogan. The Republicans have become a big tent by welcoming blacks, by welcoming the Hispanic vote, the Jewish vote. They all broke for Trump. Vance has a biblical world view. He's a husband. He's a father. He can articulate conservatism effectively, which is so important. Pulled himself up from the bootstraps, escaped poverty, military service, the Marines, public service. I don't have to go through you know all that. But I have no doubt that a Vance administration would put you, America first, and prioritize American families and American values. Now more than ever, we need to see people with conviction who are willing to take a bold stand. Do you remember when comedians used to be bold and edgy? Those days are gone. Gone. Coming up next, a comedian who attacks Christianity turns into a bumbling mess after being challenged to make the same jokes about Muhammad and Islam. Wait till you see this. You're watching The Daniel Cohen Show on the Real Life Network. We'll be right back.
Summertime is here. So what are the kids in your life up to? Let's put something meaningful in their hands. The Summertime Kids Book Bundle, featuring Prayers and Promises, a faux leather book with over 70 topics like courage, peace, wisdom, and trust. An easy way to plant God's truth deep in their heart. Then, the Redcoats are coming, hand-picked by Pastor Jack, a historical time travel adventure back to 1775 where cousins Beth and Patrick embark on an exciting journey to wake sleeping citizens during the Revolutionary War. When you give a donation of $25 or more, request the Summertime Kids Book Bundle. Go to jackhibbs.com or call 877-777-2346 right now. Invest in your child. Start them off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it.
You're watching The Daniel Cohen Show on the Real Life Network. Tim Pool. Tim Pool is a podcaster. He's on the right side of some things, and he's really a mixed bag and on the wrong side of others. Tim Pool, had a comedian on his show who mocks Christians, mocks Christianity on his YouTube. That comedian's name is Adam Conover. I had never heard of this guy. Maybe you hadn't either. His YouTube is very liberal. He talks about, it's X-rated stuff for the most part, the jokes in his shows and his stand-up. He's not edgy. He's just raunchy. And that gets a laugh because of the raunch, not because it's actually funny. But Tim Pool grilled Conover, and you got to see this moment because he knows that this guy will attack Christians, and he says, well, why don't you make the same jokes about Muhammad? Why don't you make the same jokes about Islam? And Conover becomes a bumbling mess.
It shows in the UK and Amsterdam, and I made fun of UK politics, I made fun of American politics.
You wouldn't dare make fun of Islam, though. Go to the UK and mock Islam. Do it.
Well, I don't have any jokes about Islam.
Why not? They got Pakistani grooming games for raping little girls. Why won't you go to the UK?
What?
Why won't you go to the UK and make jokes about Islam?
I don't think it's very funny. I don't have any jokes about it. I'm so confused. Dude.
Okay, let me help unconfuse you. Are there jokes that can be made about Islam? Yes or no?
Wait, I don't want to. I don't want to go to this particular rabbit hole.
Oh no! You're terrified. You're a hypocrite.
Yes. Yeah. He nailed it. Could you see? You could see how uncomfortable Conover was. Boy, was he squirming. And Tim Pool was just asking him, are there jokes to be made? Is it funny to joke about Christians? Is it funny to joke about Jesus? Is there anything raunchy? What's funny about that? Why won't you make that same joke? He wasn't going to touch that, period. And you know why. And I know why. He values his life. He knows that he can say whatever he wants about Yeshua, about Jesus in the United States. You can make fun of Christians. You can get away with it there. Tim Pool's right, but he misses one fundamental thing, though. Conover, he doesn't have to actually go to the UK to be threatened for saying anything about Muhammad. There's a big shift that's changed. A lot of comedians won't walk up to the edge, especially when it comes to discussing Islam. Any truthful statement about who Muhammad was, any statement that could be deemed as mockery. Do you remember? I want to jog your memory. Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer. Do you remember those names? Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer hosted a Muhammad art contest in Garland, Texas in 2015. 10 years ago. And how did it go?
People run for their lives when gunfire breaks out outside the Curtis Colwell Center just east of Dallas. The two men drove up to the front of the building and began shooting at a security officer.
Two men, two jihadists, they showed up with assault rifles. They opened fire. They were trying to kill people at an event that was supposed to plant a flag for free speech. Texas police, they shot and killed the terrorists before they could commit any murder. But the media blamed Pamela Geller. They said that she was provocative for holding this event. Terrorists literally showed up to try to murder people. This was 10 years ago. Imagine what would happen to anyone trying to say something negative about Muhammad in Texas today. In Dearborn, Michigan, today. Hamtramck, in New Jersey, Patterson, New Jersey, Minnesota, Minneapolis, some communities there. This is where we are. You can mock Jesus. You can mock Yeshua. You can desecrate the Bible. You can have art shows and art installations in New York City where they can depict Mary with urine or feces smeared on it. Do you remember that? That was grotesque. But draw a cartoon of Muhammad and you could end up dead. And the media would say it's your fault. Kudos to Tim Pool for exposing that. The hypocrisy of comedians who will attack every religion except the one where people take it so seriously you could end up dead. This is not religious. That's not religious freedom. That's a religious tyranny. I say praise God for freedom of speech in the United States. As far as the law is concerned, you can still speak up. You can still speak your mind. You have a right to offend. You have a right to be offended with certain guardrails. We're not going to get into all of what those guardrails are right now. But in the UK, you could be arrested for a tweet. Police, social services, psychiatric, they can show up at your front door for a tweet that they consider mean-spirited. Canada, don't criticize gender confusion. Same. These are scary times. Here at the Real Life Network, we speak the truth. This microphone, that is our mandate, to stand on God's word. And I encourage you too, don't be afraid to stand up for what the Bible says. Don't apologize. The word says it's living and active. It's sharper than a two-edged sword. It never returns void. Sword drill. Know it. Ingest it. Know it deep down in your heart. You'll be blessed. Hey, thank you for being with us today. We appreciate you. We hope you come back again. I'm Daniel Cohen. This is The Daniel Cohen Show on the Real Life Network. See you again soon.